Ripple is quickly becoming the front and center face of cryptocurrency, specifically when talking about the United States government. Representative Warren Davidson, who's a Republican from Ohio, is weighing in on how he feels the need for regulatory clarity is of the utmost importance right now. And he even mentions Ripple in this interview. And he also calls out Gary Gensler. And this is because Joe Biden is meeting with Janet Yellen and Gary Gensler, as well as other regulators, to talk about certain things in the financial sector that is going on. So I'm going to tell you about what Representative Warren Davis actually had to say and what he said about Ripple and the case versus the SEC. In other crypto news, Mark Cuban got rugged. Well, he actually didn't get rugged, but it certainly looked like it. But he did actually lose a ton of face because what he was just pumping on Twitter several days ago went to zero. I'm going to tell you about it. And right now there's things like all of the FUD in the media, which is all the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt being spread by the media, specifically about Bitcoin and its energy usage, most of which is not true. Bitcoin now reiterating its ban on cryptocurrencies and mining, and now in fact actually shutting the miners down or kicking them out of the country altogether. I'm going to talk about why that may or may not be a bad thing for Bitcoin in the crypto space. And Cathie Wood, who's quickly becoming very famous for having made some very spot-on calls recently, specifically in the crypto space. They've actually come out and given their 5-year expectation of what the crypto industry is going to be worth. So I'm going to tell you about that. But XRP 5 years from now, that's a big guess. But I'm going to tell you what somebody just said based on the current cycle and based on the current low that XRP is actually hitting, what they think it's going to be worth by the end of the year. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. On this channel, I am covering the SEC versus Ripple case along with other cryptocurrency news. So if those topics interest you, make sure you subscribe to this channel. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon. That way YouTube will notify you when I release a new video. And as always, if you're feeling generous, I'd really appreciate it if you click that thumbs up button. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, helps out a channel like this, and basically tells YouTube to share this video with new audiences. So if you do that, I greatly appreciate it. All right, well, let's get into this. So right now, I'm actually going to start out with the story of the United States government talking more and more about crypto regulation. There's more and more financial regulatory bodies actually talking about the crypto space, and even more of the House of Representatives and senators starting to talk about it as well. The interesting thing is that it's kind of polarizing, and it really isn't divided on party lines. There are Democrats that are for crypto. There are Democrats that are vehemently against crypto. There are Republicans that are for crypto, and there are Republicans that are against it. So right now, it's really one of those things where they either get it or they don't. So Representative Warren Davidson, who's a Republican from Ohio, he was in an interview yesterday talking about the upcoming meetings with Joe Biden, who's having meetings with Janet Yellen, Gary Gensler, and other regulators in the financial sectors. And he was specifically calling out the government essentially to actually come out and give that regulatory clarity that's needed, especially for the crypto space. He actually mentioned Ripple, specifically the Ripple case versus SEC, and talking about XRP being a security. And it sounded like, in his opinion, XRP really wasn't a security because there was a big enough of a firewall, essentially a difference between XRP and Ripple. And just because you own XRP doesn't mean you own Ripple. Now, he specifically called out Gary Gensler in this and said he even taught a class on crypto and has talked on things like this. So there really isn't any reason that regulatory clarity shouldn't be one of their top priorities. But here's the thing. I actually read an article today that pointed out how much money the SEC has brought in by going after cryptocurrency companies and basically just suing them, finding them, whatever it is. And they are by far and away the biggest revenue generator in the United States government outside of taxes by going after just cryptocurrency companies. So on one hand, you want some regulatory clarity. On the other hand, the SEC's going, well, we're making money hand over fist just by going after and suing people. If we put some sort of framework into place, we might not make as much money. Now, that's kind of the conspiratorial view of things, but it's always something to think about. So keep an eye out for that. These new meetings with Joe Biden, the Biden administration, with the SEC and Janet Yellen and the other financial regulators. You want to specifically look to see if they start talking about fintech, because that's where a lot of the regulations are going to take place. And maybe if there was some sort of regulatory clarity, Mark Cuban may have not lost all his money. So if you haven't heard of this, Mark Cuban was actually pumping a coin called Deaton last week. He was actually pumping it for a couple of weeks, and because of some sort of strange vortex of cryptocurrency and actually how those Titan coins were actually minted. Once a sell-off began, it actually caused a spiral of the price of these Titan coins to start devaluing incredibly. It actually, so from an article I read, it was basically an arbitrage trade between the value of the Titan tokens and the value of iron, where it just literally dropped into a cycle where the price kept dropping and dropping, and it dropped from $64 at its high to near $0, actually 1/115th of a dollar when it finally ended. Mark Cuban said he got hit and lost everything, as obviously there was a lot of people making videos and tweets saying, actually I think Mark Cuban ended up with most of that money. I don't personally believe that. I think he got hit. It was just a matter of him probably either being paid to pump Titan, or it was just him gambling and taking a flyer. He basically just came out and said, I just didn't do the math on the tokenomics and look at it deep enough, which that's probably the case, but nonetheless, that was a big story. And speaking of other big stories, right now we have China reiterating their ban on cryptocurrencies. They now told their central banks not to deal with anything that has to do with cryptocurrencies, no settlements, no transfers, no transactions that have to do with crypto. They also told their Bitcoin miners they need to shut down or get out of the country. And if you follow the technicals, there's some sites that chart all the hash rates of Bitcoin, meaning basically the mining activity that's going on with Bitcoin. And right now, it's at its lowest point in nearly 3 years. So what's that going to do to the price of Bitcoin? Honestly, I don't really know. But when we have this China ban and all this energy FUD going around, and oh yeah, if you follow the charts of Bitcoin, you'll see the dreaded death cross actually happened the other day, where the 50-day DMA crossed below the 200-day DMA, which typically signals a bearish market where you're going to see the price continue to decrease. But here's the thing, even with all that bad news with China, with the death cross, with the hash rates dropping, Bitcoin actually dropped to 31 and bounced off its low for the 4th time in the last 36 days. And it's now up 3.8%. How is that possible? Well, one speculation is that FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is actually taking hold. And the fact that less and less Bitcoins are entering the market due to the hash rates being much lower, and the scarcity of Bitcoin becoming more and more, that some people are actually thinking that buying in now is actually going to be the low. It's not going to drop to 28 or 22 or 17 or 12,000, which is what some people had predicted a few months ago. The stock to flow model created by a Twitter user known as Plan B is still predicting a several $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. Now, Cathie Wood of Ark Invest and her group of analysts have now came out and said what their viewpoint on Bitcoin is going to be for the next 5 years. They typically deal in timeframes of about 5 years or so. And they said they expect Bitcoin and the whole crypto space to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 to $10 trillion in the next 5 years. That's not exactly following the stock to flow model, because the stock to flow model predicts much higher than that. But still, when Cathie Wood speaks and her analysts speak, a lot of people pay attention. So this is definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. They're not as big as Michael Saylor in their holdings of Bitcoin, but they're certainly one to keep an eye on in what they actually do with their crypto holdings. Okay, so in 2017, when there was another Bitcoin bull run, XRP dropped 63% from its high, and within 4 weeks of falling from that high, was able to post a 15,000% gain there afterwards. About 4 weeks afterwards, to be exact. Well, in this cycle, right now, XRP is now down 66%. So are we going to see a 1,500% gain in the next 4 weeks like the last run? Well, if we did, that's going to be a $10 XRP. That was actually predicted by a Twitter user doing some charting and doing some analyzing of the two bull runs, so just something to keep in mind. Not too much news on the XRP versus Ripple case right now, but I expect this week to have some even bigger news coming out. So stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that you'll be notified when that video is released. Once again, I appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end. I appreciate all the support you guys have given this channel since you've been on board. We're so close to getting 50,000 subscribers, which it really blows my mind. Once again, I really appreciate all you guys that watch these videos every single time I put them out. I'm actually planning on putting out many more videos, specifically starting this week, so look out for them. But it's not just going to cover the SEC and Ripple. There's going to be a whole bunch of new crypto asset videos and crypto market videos that I'm going to be putting out, so look out for them. All right, guys, well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on the next video.